Infected is brought to you by GoDaddy.com. For big savings on all your web hosting needs, enter the promo code JOEY.
Infected.
Hello and welcome to Infected, the internet television equivalent of an episode of Antiques Roadshow. If all the people who showed up brought in nothing but worthless, busted up pieces of shit, and they were all crazy. I'm Internet's Martin Sargent. And I'm joined as always by my good pal, the Gator. What's up, Gator?
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't like it when people do that handshake thing.
You're the king of that. What are you talking about?
I don't know how to do that thing. People are
You're
always like
doing
trying
that.
to shake it. Now, I'm a high fiver. I'm a high five. It's all this thing. People want to shake my hand. I don't know what to do. Like when people grab my hand,
you're always like doing that. But then when you do the fist bump, you do it real hard. You're like,
I don't know what I'm doing.
You got a meat fist and you bang people's knuckles all apart. I'm trying to just do the thing, you know. It ain't that hard.
Big show tonight. Big show tonight. We got our old pal, Drew Curtis, from the website FARK.com. That's kind of a marquee guest for a Slack-Shaw show like this, ain't it?
Yeah, he's a big-time player.
He is.
Curtis.
I mean, he's really slumming.
He's from Kentucky, too.
He's really slumming it coming on this little show.
He really is.
I know, man.
We're happy to have him.
But hopefully we'll get up on an episode on the website FARK, and maybe we actually get some viewers.
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
You never know.
We might.
Maybe not.
You know what we're going to do first off, though, in honor of Drew Curtis?
What?
We haven't done this in a long time. But backed by popular demand, let's take a quick look at the high-tech tech news ticker.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, a few months back, Phyllis Canyon, she found the corpse of what she thought was a chupacabra on her Texas ranch. Now,
Yep.
Of course, you know what a chupacabra is, right, Gator?
Yeah, sure.
It's what's the translation?
Well, it's a devil beast.
It translates to goat sucker.
Oh,
it's this thing, it's got this really pointy proboscis, and what it'll do is it'll go up to your livestock and suck all the juices right out of their body. So this lady, Phyllis Canyon, she thinks that she finds one on her land, all right? And here's a picture right here. This is old Phyllis. She's holding up the rotting head of the beast right there.
You know, that's nothing but a dog.
Well, here's what happened.
It's got no
now this
proboscis.
happened, like I said, a few months ago, but here's the newsy part of the story.
Okay.
So she got Texas State University to do a DNA analysis of it.
Right.
So they do the test. What do you think they found out that it was going to be?
I could give a fuck if it's Texas State. I know that some of the people went there. They're a bunch of drunks and big old. They're crazy, motherfucker. She could. You bought them a six-pack of Bush, and they'll tell you damn near anything. They'll say this is the head of Jimmy Hoffa.
Well, they do the test, and they found out it's not a chupacabra at all. It's in fact, it's Joey. No, it's not Joey at all. Turns out that's all it is a coyote. It's a coyote with some sort of scrofula, some sort of mange, some sort of skin condition.
Well, if you ever shot a coyote in your life, and I never have, but I know a few that have, you could take one look at that picture and you'd be like, that's a coyote. That's a coyote that got mange.
Yeah.
So this crazy, did that lady shoot that thing herself? That's what I want to know.
She apparently just found it on her land.
Well,
but then she beheaded it. Apparently she beheaded it.
Well, she take out her
She lives
ginseng
on a
knife.
ranch. She's probably beheading shit all the time in there in
bet
order to
she
eat
is.
it. And then she puts it in her freezer. It's been sitting in the freezer for this long. And then she finally gets it over to Texas State University for this DNA analysis.
I know ladies like that before. They'll cut the head off.
This has got to really cut to the heart, though, of all these conspiracy theorists out there. It's like, finally, we got one. We got a chupacabra.
Now, you know, I don't doubt there is.
It could be a conspiracy, though.
It
Could be a conspiracy of the government.
You don't have to look at that picture too hard to know that's a damn coyote or.
You know what I thought it was when I first saw that picture? I thought it was that picture of Larry King at the football game. That's what it looked like to me.
Larry King wishes he looked that good.
He didn't look that good since like 82.
Larry King
and I have the same agents, and they tell me, I'm not supposed to be telling you guys this, but I'm kind of drunk. Larry King has actually been dead since 1989. And he actually has some puppeteers.
You don't need to go to Texas State SUNY to know that either.
SUNY.
Larry King's been dead since 84. You can take you get a penknife and you jab him and take it down and get that shit DNA checked, and they'll tell you he's been dead since.
You know, though,
maybe
if I lived on some ranch in Texas, way out in the middle of nowhere, and I found something like that on my land, I'd make a big hullabaloo about it, too, because that's probably the most exciting thing that's ever happened to poor Phyllis Canyon.
Well,
she
Phyllis
finds
Canyon.
mangy beast on her land.
I know the type.
All of a sudden, she's like on the Art Bell show or something like that.
People that got any kind of land in Texas, they shoot first. Anything that walks on their land, they'll shoot it. It could be like a little fat kid. They shoot that thing.
She probably thought it was somebody snuck across the border.
Ask questions later. We shoot something. It looks a little weird. I'm going to take and get DNA tested.
Well, there you are. I know you guys have been asking for it, so that is your look at the high-tech tech news tech. Oh! You know, Gator, ever since we moved back up here to Old Fogtown, I've been very inspired. Very inspired.
Well,
so much
you've
so
been
that
reconnecting a little bit.
I have been. I feel like I've had a lot of things to say recently, so much so that
you've been blogging.
I've started blogging again. It's a little segment that we call Blogging by the Bay.
It's beautiful.
Dear Old Man Bay, yesterday I was sitting by your shores gazing out at the bright boats and the dancing sun diamonds when a pretty little finch came and lit on my shoulder. As I stared at its bright eyes and delicate beak, it hopped down and lit on my outstretched palm, made flat for its arrival. From that vantage, I could better see the brilliant iridescent striations of its crenellated wings. And just when I knew its perfect beauty would overtake me, I crushed that little bird. I crushed it lifeless in my fist. And then I made a sketch of it in my leather-bound drawing book, a perfect likeness, right alongside the thousands and thousands of other finch sketches that have brought my bird sketchbook, once empty, now full to overflowing. Thanks, Bay.
That's a pretty little story. You killed a lot of birds, and you kill them and then you draw them in your book.
Yes, but I've only recently started blogging about it.
Well,
and that's why that's newsworthy. Put that up on FARK, Drew Curtis.
You got a lot of art side in you, buddy. I didn't know that. You draw pictures and write poems and all that kind of thing. It's pretty. I like it. It shows character.
How about we take a moment now to take a look at one of our new bits on the show. This is called Ha Ha Fat Kid, You're Fat. It's our look at
this is my favorite bit of the
videos of fat kids doing stupid shit so that we can laugh at them because they're so fucking fat.
I love this.
This installment is Fat Kid on a Moped.
All right.
Let's take a look at it already in progress. There's your fat kid right there. He's pretty big. And he's on a very little moped. And like his friends are all trying to get him to ride the moped, but he's like, no, no, no. I'm going to break it. Why don't we just listen in?
I like that kid.
I like how he's wearing like a Leo Laporte shirt. Here he goes. They're always laughing at him.
Down there in that red clay.
It's so mean.
They're real hot. They're not though. You could tell he's like down with them.
No, they're trying. There's a lot of people out there. Here he goes. He's gonna go jump this one thing. He's gonna get like
it's like some
big head start.
Like across the street from subdivision.
Where the hell is he going? Why is he going all the way back to the subdivision?
Well, you gotta get some speed up. He's
all right, here he comes.
Big boy. You gotta hit that jump with some speed.
Here he comes. What do you think's gonna happen? Oh, Jesus!
He went down.
Oh man!
See, think about this.
He's even got the ass crack showing and everything. Let's take a look at it in slow motion now. Whoa!
Boy.
It looks just like every other fat person who crashes in more. Look at that! Oh man, that poor guy.
Yeah, but look at it. He's laughing. See, he's smiling. See, that's what I like about this kid, and I'm gonna tell you something. There are two kinds of fat kids. One is a kind that real sad and fucked up, and everybody makes fun of. And the other kind is like kind of bros down with their friends, and he's a fat kid, but he's still one of them. You know,
kind of like Fat Albert.
Like that
Fat Albert was the leader in the gang,
and that kid had a good attitude. He'd come up, he's laughing already. He's like, I'm fat and I wiped out.
You know, he's crying on the inside though.
Maybe so, but you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes there's a fat kid that's like he's still part of the group. You know, like I had some real fat friends, and he was like,
not me.
They're still.
Hell no. Never have.
They're still your buddies. Like you can tell he's still cool with them. He's ready to make a joke of himself once in a while for to be a fat kid, and he's I'm gonna be a fat kid. I'm gonna act like a fat kid. I'm gonna wipe out
nothing he can do.
No, you know.
Nothing he can do.
He's fat.
He's very fat.
There's a lot of fat people down there though. I like that kid. I think he had a good attitude.
He's got heart. He's got heart. He's got
heart, and I reckon to say that he's still a popular kid amongst the crowd. And he's not some He's in on the. He's like, I'm fat, and I'm a part of the joke.
And
that's just my take on it. You know,
that's one of our new favorite segments. That's
that is my favorite.
Fat kid, you're fat.
That's my favorite segment, though.
So Gator.
Yeah.
So now that you've stolen Patrick Norton's laptop, you've been spending a lot of time surfing the internet. And when you surf in the internet, usually you go on there and you find pictures of young girls that you take a fancy to.
Yeah.
And what you do is you come on the show every week or so, and you tell us about who you've been staring at and masturbating to, or whatever the hell you do out in the truck parked outside here as you're stealing my wireless internet.
I take
while
offense
you're
to
looking,
that,
while you're looking at the pictures.
I
So
have no shame about it.
this is the bit that we call Gators Girls.
Gators Gals.
Gators Gals. So who do we have up this week? I've been looking forward to this all week.
This week is a little gem that harkens back to my youth that I've been reconnecting with, and her name's Farrah Fawcett. And if you know anything about Farrah Fawcett, I mean, when I was a boy, I mean, there's not enough lust in the world to describe. I even though she's older now, just look at the pictures. Farrah Fawcett. I wrote a poem about it.
Yeah,
I wrote a poem about it. Can I read the poem?
You wrote a poem to Farrah Fawcett. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
That's
you can
what
go
I do.
ahead.
Every week when I find a gal that I like enough. Now this is a gal that I used to, Farrah Fawcett back in the day when you used to, if you were a young boy like me back in the 70s, Farrah Fawcett was like, there ain't nothing that can compare. She was just, Farrah Fawcett, the city rises from the moonless plains like slabs of granite set alight with glittering jewels, more than the stars, more than the lights that flick and dance in your Farrah Fawcett eyes. And I ride towards you, Farrah, towards your gate, sloping easy on my mount. I can already smell your sex. Jasmine, lilac, and Arby's cheddar melt. Farrah, I can imagine no other force in this world more singularly devastating than the scent of your cunt. That's how strong I feel about Farrah
This
Fawcett.
is what you do, parked in the truck outside?
It's a poem,
stealing
man. It's art.
All
And
my
if you-
neighbors can see. Look at these windows, man.
I'm writing a poem about
Jesus.
this woman. Can't you respect that? It's beautiful. Didn't you like that? Didn't that move you? It made me want to cry. We maybe need to go to a break. Joey,
Not
come here,
yet.
help me,
We
buddy.
don't have time for a break yet.
Joey understands.
It's time for Martin's
give me a
Museum of Internet Oddities. But instead, we are going to do the Internet Oddities.
Let's do it.
This
You're
one,
not going to do it?
No, we are going to do it
Okay.
this week. We're going to do it this
I like
week.
it.
And this week, it's not really the normal Internet Oddity that we usually do. We're just going to show you a video because it was just too good. It was too good. I didn't know how to fit it in the show. So it's not your usual fucked up website, your usual weirdness you find on the internet, but it's good enough. This is called Woman Stuck in a Trench.
This is called It's Not a Fat Kid. Haha, you're fat. You're
It's
a fat
a
old lady.
Fat old lady stuck in a goddamn trench. Let's take a look. Here it is. Internet Oddity. How the fuck did she get in there?
Is she naked? I think you see some titty hanging out.
The best part.
How'd she get in that
about this-
trench?
The best part
There's like a
is
guy with like a real
all
tight
these
pair of...
people, though, if you really listen, they're all like saying that
laughing.
they're trying to help them, but they're all fucking laughing their asses off. Just
like-
like we're doing right now.
Like a kid when you're like somebody got hurt in front of you, you laugh and they're like, shut up, don't laugh. There's like a dude with a real high tight lace pair of Reeboks standing over, like real white. He's like got peg leg jeans. I guarantee that motherfucker got a mustache.
You know,
if you pan
actually,
up.
it looks like Jerry Seinfeld. Looks like Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, it looks
down
like
there.
somebody didn't turn their phone off. Well,
Damn it, Mom.
who's that, Black Wolf?
No, it's not Black Wolf. You know what that's the best fat woman falling in a whole video since this old classic. Remember this one?
Yeah.
She's working in a convenience store here. Watch
Yeah.
this. They open up.
I always felt bad for this lady. I've seen this before.
Oh, the other one, that's okay, but this one,
No.
this one, she probably didn't make it out
she,
alive.
She hurt. She got hurt pretty
Uh-oh,
bad.
fat lady, don't
She's
step
a
back.
young fat lady.
Oh,
She's
down
a
she
young,
goes.
she's a young, cute fat lady.
Down she
Got
goes.
hurt bad. Anyway, fat people are funny, aren't they?
All right, that's this week's Martin's Museum of Internet Oddities. If you have a submission to be an exhibit in the museum, please send them to infected@revision3.com. I wonder what the FARK people, there's probably some FARK people watching this. They're like, this show sucks.
Yeah, they're like,
This
these
show
guys
sucks.
are
But you know
idiots.
what? You can't trust the FARK people because they're a bunch of mean people.
Well,
We're saying they're mean. We're just laughing at all these fat people.
we just laughed for 10 minutes at fat people videos.
That's right. So without any further ado,
I'm
we're
gonna turn
going to
this
go to
off
break.
for you.
We're going to go to break. Just let me phone along. We're going to go to
I'm
break.
turning it
When we
off
come
for
back, we're going to talk to Drew Curtis
Oh,
from FARK.com right after this word from our sponsor.
Oh, high five. You suck. Fucking patty cake.
Oh, hey, Martin Sargent here. You know those weirdos who try to visit every Major League Baseball park? Well, I'm sort of doing the same thing, only I'm doing it with websites. I'm hitting the road to go behind every site on my favorites bar, and you're riding shotgun. I call it web drifting. So you better buckle up, because it's gonna get wild. Let's web drift. Pick a lane, asshole!
The internet is full of weird, wild, and sexy websites, and Martin Sargent has visited them all. Now, he's going out into the world to visit them again, but this time, he's going in person. He's going behind the website to meet the genius kooks who made them face to face.
Martin, you sure you don't want an enema?
Whether it's swinging with Peter Pan, or swimming with leather oaks, casting big spells with wise wizards, or just a day out hunting Bigfoot. No website is too far out there, too weird, or just plain too crazy for Martin Sargent to go behind.
I'm so scared.
It's the darkest, wildest, most untamed corners of the internet caught on film. It's Web Drifter, and you're coming along for the ride. Web Drifter, only on Revision 3.
See you there.
And welcome back to Infected. My next friend is the founder of the wildly popular website, FARK.com. Here he is, everyone, Drew Curtis. How you doing, bud?
Doing great, man.
Great to see you
Thanks
again.
for the beer. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Nice.
you know,
That's
I had to
awesome,
go
man.
out and get that because we usually just have hard liquor and wine up here at
fantastic.
Shea Sarge.
Yeah, well, cheers, man.
You got it.
Here, let me get a little of that too.
So you know the
Do it
Gator?
twice. Yes, absolutely.
All right, good. So, what's up, Hotshot? FARK.com's going all right, I take it.
Yeah, cranking right along, doing the same thing we've always been doing.
Yeah, but it seems like it's getting more and more popular. Is that true?
Yeah, I think part of what happened was I had this book come out about, I don't know, it was like 5 months ago or something like that.
FARK people read?
Well, some of them do, I think. I've been told that anyway. I live in Kentucky, so I'm one to talk. But right after that came out, something weird happened. All of a sudden, all these media guys started mentioning us every once in a while, as opposed to never, which was,
Oh,
that
so
was
you
kinda
started to be like an expert, like showing up on like CNN and all
Well,
these things?
that, and I think they finally realized that we weren't their secret source anymore for weird, strange stuff that would be at the end of the newscast.
Because that used to be sort of the problem, like not a problem necessarily,
Yeah.
but like
No, it
morning
wasn't actually,
DJs
Yeah.
are like combing through FARK.com probably every morning to try
Yeah.
to get their material.
Right, yeah, without a doubt. And the problem was they all thought that none of the rest of them knew about it, and it turned out that after a while, after being around for all these years, they compared notes, and they're like, oh, hell, I guess we all do know about this. So, but when the book came out, it suddenly became apparent that it was a little more mainstream than they thought. So now they don't feel too bad about it. And then they've discovered that they can mention, yeah, we saw this on FARK, and people don't call up and go, you're not finding this yourself? Oh my God, I'm not going to listen to the radio anymore. Click.
You don't have a whole team of researchers on.
Yeah, that's right. You're not doing this yourself?
Jimbo and the Bears Morning Zoo crew.
So you mean to tell me you're reading a teleprompter? Oh my God. I'm never watching TV again.
So this, I thought that my job was pretty cool, except that, I'm dirt poor and everything. But I think you probably must have the best job in the world. You're
Yeah.
just reading all these really funny stories every day. How much actual work do you put on this site?
It depends.
Plus, he gets to live in Kentucky.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, that too. Well, I mean, I save a ton of money out
That's
there
a hell
too.
of a
I just
state.
bought a new house for $66 a square foot. Yeah,
How many square feet?
4,400.
Dude, that's like my rent.
I
every
know. I was
month
going to
there
say
in
you
San
can double the
Francisco.
cost of this place
Fuck.
and probably still not buy it. Yeah.
So you do the site. How much time do you put in it? You say?
It just depends on what's going on. Like normally, if I'm not doing anything, I'll be there all day long until I start drinking beer because I don't do the site when I'm drinking beer. It's a
That's
bad
about
idea.
what, like 11
Yeah,
o'clock in
11.
the morning?
Yeah, about
Yeah.
10 a.m. something like
And
that.
then you travel, like you're here in San Francisco,
Right.
because you're going to go to some FARK parties. So you
Yeah,
just kind of
that's right.
travel around and go to these FARK parties.
Yep.
And people probably just adulate you. They probably treat you like some sort
They
of
buy me
hero.
beer, which is kind of cool. So I'm a big fan.
When
of that.
you have these FARK parties, how many people typically show up?
It depends. It's really bizarre because you'll get anywhere from like 0 to 150 depending on where you're at, what's going on. Like for some reason, we can't get anybody to show up at a FARK party in Indy.
You get any hot chicks or is
In
it all
Indy?
just like
Yeah, in Indy.
geeky
I don't know.
dudes?
Yeah, actually, and there are the occasional hot chick, which is
That's
really
the other
kind
thing,
of
because
sad,
you're married, right?
I know, and
Yeah.
it's completely useless for me.
Oh, come on.
Sucks.
You go to these things.
Well, you can
and
look at it.
There's
I
a
mean,
lot.
they-
There's
you
a
know,
lot
the
of
little
liquor
cleavage
and
thing.
everything. You
Yeah.
never slipped. Does the wife always
No.
travel with you?
No, she didn't always, but
Of
it's
course,
just
you're
one
not
of
going
those
to say that here on the show. Not that she's going to be watching.
Some real cerebral.
I hope she does
There you
watch.
go.
It'll
That'd be
double our
great, yeah.
viewership. But
There you go.
Hey, so wait, I got a question. How many people work at FARK? Is it just you?
Well, technically nobody. I do pay a couple guys full-time in order to do it. We got one tech guy who's covering stuff, and then we got a sales guy who's doing that kind of thing. And so, but really, technically, there's 0 employees.
Yeah, it's
bring
great.
them out
It's
to
like the self-sustaining thing.
Yeah.
It's and a little bit. Dig's got a lot of employees, but I don't want to make the
Which I can't
comparison,
figure out
but-
what the hell they're doing, because it's kind of like, I mean, we don't have anything to do.
Yeah, I mean, all you got
I've been
this
over there.
vast number of users. They just submit all this stuff.
Yeah, and it's automated over Dig. I mean, we're reading stuff, but, I don't know what they're
And then
doing.
who actually picks what stories go up there?
If I'm around, if I'm on the clock, it's me. Later on in the evening, some other guys take over when I start drinking or playing soccer or whatever happens to be going on. And then in the early morning hours, it's a guy who lives down in Paso Robles who finishes it off, and he goes to bed around 2 o'clock local time. And I'm up at 7 Eastern, so there's about a 2-hour window there where nothing's going on.
How many submissions do you get every day?
About 2,000,
And then
give or take.
what, like 100 make it up on the site every day?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that just because you don't have time, you're drunk before you can read
No,
all
that's
of them,
because
or
there
they
aren't
just
that many
kinda
good
suck?
ones. Yeah, there are some suck. It's horrible. I mean, it
So-
turns out there's just garbage out
You
there.
got to wade. Probably got good at wading through those things. Like
Yeah.
you go like 2 lines, you're like, this sucks. Or
Yeah, I can do about 100 in about 5 minutes usually.
What's the trick? If
do you
I
look
want to
for?
get my story up there,
Yeah.
if anyone at home wants to get their story
Sure,
up there,
yeah,
what
yeah.
do you need to do to get your story up on FARK?
Looking for funny taglines. Like if I get a get laugh out of a tagline, that's almost guaranteed to go up, even if it has nothing to do with the article that was submitted on. So that's the number one thing. And the number two thing is if the story is interesting. But the number one thing is you give me a funny tagline on a site that's completely worthless, and we'll probably run it.
You probably get a lot of repeat submissions.
Yeah, constantly. Well, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that there are so many news sources out there that repeat. I mean, you guys probably don't notice because in San Francisco you've got actual, real, honest-to-God, like national level newspapers. But
Are you kidding me? You ever read the San Francisco
well,
Chronicle?
in theory,
It's
well,
the
better
same
than
as
Kentucky, man. Look where I'm compared
You
to.
got
yeah.
the Courier Journal as a Pulitzer Prize.
That's right.
Newspaper. It used to be back when the Binghams ran it, and I was a personal friend of that family. But you go ahead and look it up. It's true.
But the thing about those newspapers is in mid-markets, like in Kentucky especially, they're about 90 to 95% wire services, and that's it. So that's why you have a lot of submissions that are duplicates. It isn't necessarily that it's the same source coming in all the time. It's that Reuters has an article that will appear on 1,000 different websites. It is kind of interesting to me to see what will happen to these little mid-market newspapers because all they really have for original content is high school football scores and restaurant reviews, and that's it. The rest of it's wire feed. So it kind of begs the question, why would I read these guys at all?
Right,
They're going to have to change or die, I think.
You've been doing this for a really long time. I know you kind of wrote a book on this topic, but how have you noticed that the news has changed over like the 10 years or so that you've been doing FARK?
Yeah,
Has it gotten more fucked up, worse,
Yes,
better?
it has actually. It's gotten a lot more fucked up. In fact, if you want to check it out, Daily Kos did a great article. And if you look it up under dailykos.com, it's CNN sucks, are the keywords you can use to find it. What they did was they took a screenshot of CNN in October 2006, and they stripped off all of the ads, all the bogus stories, all of what they called YouTube voyeurism. Like if you watch CNN, you'll notice that they'll do this thing where they'll put these clips of just garbage in the middle as bumpers, like, here's a dog riding a surfboard, or here's the tarp fire in South Dakota. Wow, look at it burn, it's fire. I mean, it sounds like I'm
I'd
joking
watch
about
that.
this, but this happens
They
actually.
like a good fire.
But it's on CNN is the thing. I'm not saying there's not a place for it. It's just, what the hell's it doing on CNN?
Right.
So they took all that off. They took all the garbage off, and they basically were left with 5 lines of text. Now, what happened was that they were trying to prove that CNN was basically going off the rails. So what they did was they compared it to China News Daily from the same day,
I used to
and
work
you
for them.
actually can't tell the difference. Yeah, they're based out of Kentucky, actually, as it turns out.
No shit.
But what they did was that they had a bunch of people write in and say, well, that's not fair. China News Daily and CNN are 2 completely different sources. And so they said, okay. So they went back, they got into the Internet Archive, pulled out CNN from 2000. And again, virtually unchanged. You couldn't tell the difference. And the reason is because media is starting to be click-driven. The reason basically is because you used to, when you would consume media, if you bought Newsweek, you'd have Newsweek. And as far as they were concerned, you consumed all the ads. Whether or not you actually saw them or not, their marketing department sold it based on that. Well, what's happening now on Newsweek.com is you're not reading Newsweek.com top to bottom. You're going, oh, check it out. There's UFOs over L.A. this week, and some guy fucked a sheep, and something happened in sports. And that's basically people are reading 2 or 3 articles, and that's it. And all of a sudden, there's this massive revenue shortfall as a result because they're not getting as many ads that are being seen, and it's perfectly trackable on the internet, and that's the major problem.
And that's why all these outlets now, they have those things we have to click through.
Yes, that's
so many
right.
Things
Well, they
there's
do the
20,
slideshow.
see the
Yeah.
hottest celebrities under 21 or something
And
like
it's
that.
always
like a
top
men's
50 or
magazine.
100
Yeah.
and no
you gotta
thumbnails.
click through every
All of them.
single one, and then they have
Exactly.
ads pop up in between
Yeah.
and everything.
That's why the
Yeah.
writers are on strike.
That's right, yeah. Although you really couldn't tell they were working in the first place, could you?
Oh, we got to pull something like that on
I got
Revision
one more-
3.
I
Maybe
got
we
one
get
more-
some revenue.
There you
I
go.
ask one more question and I'll shut the fuck up. But I want to know, like, is there anything? It's actually a two-part question. Is there payola? Do you get anybody like do payola stuff for you to like put stuff up? And also, what's the number one most popular story that ever went on FARK?
The payola stuff, we get people trying all the time, but we don't do it unless we label it sponsored link. But we found out that you can do this thing in concert with advertisers where basically you have like, I'm trying to think who we did one recently. Like Kawasaki, I think, had us to put a link up to something that they had. But it says sponsor link around the outside of it. It's just something extra we do.
Nobody sends you like a case of beer.
No, well, they try all the time. In fact,
Or
we
nobody
have
says to you, would you
Geisha
put
girl.
this episode of Web Drifter up on?
No,
on
nobody
the
ever
site?
does that.
No,
Never
that
ever
would be
does
that.
that.
That would be
It's
that
all
would be
completely
really
organic.
that would be desperate if somebody
right,
were
yeah.
to do something like
Yeah,
that.
usually they'll have me on their show in order to try to get me put up on FARK. But, that seems to work pretty well. But no, actually, one of the interesting things to see is just like Dig was having some issues with their guys getting contacted. Well, we do too, but what's funny on FARK is we have this built-in mechanism, which is basically I pick what goes up. So it doesn't matter what these other guys submit to FARK. If it's not funny, it's not going up anyway. So they're pretty much immune. And basically, the thing that got the most traffic, it was basically porn.
Yeah.
When you get right down to it, back when we were putting boobies links on the main page,
Oh, yeah.
I knew I was going to get asked that for an interview once, and so I
Middle
went ahead and
age.
I basically ranked all the links in the database from top to bottom, most traffic to least traffic. Had to go down 120 links before I found the first non-porn link, and it was about porn. It was an article about porn. No actual porn involved, but it was about it.
See, I thought it was that squirrel with the big testes.
Well, he gets a lot of traffic too, but yeah, as far as articles
I
go,
guess
it
that's
was,
kind of porn to some people.
Yeah, probably the Germans.
Yeah, Germans are all definitely.
Japanese.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's wrong
How
with
about this week? Let's just take it more on a micro level. What were like two of the most popular stories this week? Do you recall?
Well, discussion-based one of them was, and this goes back to a little bit more towards last week, was the whole deal with the Colts potentially piping noise into the stadium during the Patriots game that they had last week.
Fuck the
Well, I thought you
Patriots.
said the Colts.
Colts.
I thought you said that. I thought you meant like there was some crazy like
Colts.
UFO
The
cult
Colts,
like
yeah.
trying to brainwash everyone.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. I don't know how I missed
Yeah,
that.
no, not that interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else though, because like it just kind of fades and it comes and goes.
Tom Brady doesn't faze him because he's used to being up in them Hollywood clubs with all them models and shit.
So he can't hear anything anyway. He's using sign language. So,
How come all the people on FARK seem to be so cruel?
well,
They're
you know
really
what?
cruel bastards. I mean, especially it seems like if there's ever a story about me, any of the projects that I do,
Especially
like,
about
people are fucking harsh, man. They're really mean.
It's pretty normal, but you got to also take into account like the number of comments that are being made versus the actual clicks going through. Like for example, the first episode of the FARK TV thing that we put up, 40,000 people went and checked it out. 100 people shit all over it. Well, that's a pretty good ratio. I mean, I would think, I like it. Like think about American Idol, for example. It's like 1/3 of the country watches that show, which means 2/3 of everybody actively don't like the most popular TV show out there. So unless you're passing like 66%, I wouldn't worry about it.
That's a nice way to look
All
at it.
right.
Yeah. So
Boy,
you're in
man,
good
those are
shape.
really big egos, boost,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Wow. So finally, I heard you're on Jeopardy.
Yeah. Well, I'm not on Jeopardy. Some of the stuff on the site was. Yeah.
After one of these feral birds was released into a park, alcoholics hunt it down and try to drink it. Susan,
What is a turkey?
be more specific.
What is a wild turkey?
Wild turkey. Yes, that's what you try to drink. 2,200 for you. You're now in third place.
Well, what's that all about? How do I get like an infected or a web drifter or a Revision 3 thing up on
Yeah.
Jeopardy?
I don't know how this happened.
This was an actual category,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
FARK categories.
Uh-huh. Yeah, what happened was about 18 months ago, one of the writers who likes FARK all the time suggested it to him, contacted me, took some sample headlines that they wanted to do, and so they wanted to basically do it in the form of the question. And I'm not even going to attempt to paraphrase any of them because I'm going to get them absolutely ass wrong. But the idea is that they would use the answer in the category as they would have to make people try to figure out what the hell the question was by reading a FARK tagline to them. And I guess I better do it for example. This won't make any damn sense. But like one of them was something to the effect of, and I'm going to completely murder what it actually is, but it was something to the effect of New Yorkers saw one of these in Central Park and immediately tried to confuse New Yorkers, tried to drink it. And it was wild turkey, as it turned out. There was a wild turkey running around loose in Central Park. You got to wonder how that happens, I mean, if somebody got a pet wild turkey, they're like, I can't keep
I don't
care
know,
of this
you just
anymore.
made me real thirsty.
Yeah, I know,
I'm
seriously,
drinking
man. What
this,
else you
this
got?
fancy ass wine for it.
Yeah, we got to upgrade here. Yeah,
All I know
Cherokee.
is that Alex Trebek, he likes to sleep with them catamites.
that's right. Yeah,
I'm surprised Trebek. He seems like such a no-nonsense
I
guy.
still like
He's
to drink
a
a beer
FARK
with him.
category.
Yeah, I bet he reads it. Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, he seems like the kind of guy. He probably does.
He can play a Chopin sonata with his eyes closed. I've seen him do it.
So when this show
at the
gets
bar.
canceled, Drew, how many comments do you think we're going to have on FARK.com, if any at all?
Boy, that's a good question. I don't know.
Well, we should take a poll.
I think if any at all
we
is
should
here
make a bet,
today.
if any at all.
If any at all.
Well, I know somebody that might put the story
That's
up
right,
there if
yeah,
it gets
yeah.
canceled.
Yeah, really. I better find out who that is.
Well, Drew, it's always really great to have you on
Thanks,
the
man.
program. Thank you so much for coming by. Enjoy yourself here in San Francisco. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll see you at
I
the
will.
FARK party.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
All right. Drew Curtis, everyone. That's Drew Curtis
man.
from FARK.com, one of my favorite websites out there. And I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this wonderful installment of Infected. I'd like to thank Drew.
Hey,
and
you're going to have to tell us a story real quick, though, even though Drew's here.
Dude, we don't have time for a story.
Come on.
I heard these stories are
I
pretty good.
want to go out and get...
Just tell the story, or,
All right. I guess we have time for one short story.
Yeah, just rip
in
it off
honor
real
of
quick.
Drew.
For Drew.
This is the story of Sydney, the miserable, friendless fat guy who loved FARK. Once upon a time, there was a miserable, friendless fat guy who spent an inordinate amount of time on the website FARK.com. His name was Sydney. Every time a new story was posted on the site, Sydney was right there to make snide, shitty comments about the people in the story that it was about, even if something really horrible happened to them in the story, such as if they were horribly burned and disfigured for life. And Sydney's greatest thrill was when he was the first person to make a comment on the story, at which time his comment would merely say, "First!" He was also very proud of himself every time that happened. "I pwned everyone," he'd mutter under his breath with a mouthful of Funyuns. But what Sydney was never able to do was have one of his stories he submitted actually get picked up on the site. And that fucking killed him. I mean, here he was, one of the site's top users, and never, not once, had he submitted a story that got posted. And he submitted dozens a day. So Sydney resolved that he was going to change all that. So he decided to rob, beat, rape, dismember, burn, and then eat a local parish priest, knowing that it ought to make the news. But to make sure he was the one who got the story accepted on FARK, he submitted an account of it on his blog even before it hit the news. But sadly, his blog posting didn't make it onto the site because it was so poorly written. But what did make it was the news story about how this fucking tar basically admitted it on his blog. Because of that, he went to a supermax prison for life where he never again had access to FARK or the internet or other human beings except when he was getting his fat, pimply ass beaten by the guards. The end.
Well,
That's my little story.
It's a great story.
I
Is that based on a real life occurrence?
That's actually our cameraman, Joey.
Oh, okay.
We expect that that's going to happen any day now.
Work release.
Yeah.
I think he got what he deserved. You do that to a parish priest, and you got to pay the piper.
Well, he's trying. He was thinking that was probably going to be real newsworthy. That's why he picked a parish priest and not just some like crackhead or something like that. He was you got to give him credit for that.
You know
right?
what's scary is that actually when you started reading that actually reminded me of a FARK story. There was actually a guy. It was a really old story we did. There were two. It happened twice. Once when the guy was 19 and once when he was 26. When he was 19 years old, one of the first stories we posted was this guy was in a pub trying to win a I'll do anything to get a free bar tab contest. It was like 500 pounds of cash and 500 pounds of free beer. So this guy decided to do just basically anything goes. So this guy shows up with his mom. This is important. Whips his junk out on the table, staples it to a crucifix, pours gas on it, lights it on fire with his mom standing right there. And he won.
And this was a FARK user?
No, it wasn't a FARK user. Well, for all I know, he probably is now. But that was when he was 19. This happened really early on, like 99 or 2000. And I swear to God, like last year, they went back to visit this guy, whatever happened to the guy that still put his penis to a crucifix? They were interviewing him, and they interviewed his mom, and he said basically, I was 19 at the time. I guess that wasn't
I was impressed. I was impressed.
I really wanted that beer tab.
I believe I was
really wanted
I
it.
believe that was my second cousin Pooter Jr. He's kin to me.
Well, that really is all the time we have for this episode of Infected. I do want to thank Drew Curtis for stopping by. Everyone check out FARK.com. For the Gator, this is Martin Sargent reminding you, don't get ripped by the Riptide. We'll see you at the bar, everyone.
Yeah. You've been watching and listening to Infected. If you're still watching, well, you're infected. You can go to FARK and maybe someone will write a story about it and you could look at it, but I don't think that's going to happen. You'll probably just lay there alone in the dark, in the sallow dark, and be infected. Yeah.
Infected is written by Martin Sargent and Jay Speiden. Camera by Joey Rabier. Edited by Mauricio Balvanera. Have a comment? Go to our message boards at revision3.com/forum and check out our other show, Webdrifter, at revision3.com/webdrifter.
Die.